Hello everyone, welcome back to Namalax. Again, this is the Know Your Board session. So we are already done with 4 boards, and today Preeti Sudan ma'am has retired from UPSC, so she won't be part of any more boards, but still let us understand what kind of questions she used to ask. Okay, so just out of curiosity, we'll have some patterns, like we'll try to see the trends what the ma'am used to ask and how our board used to ask. Though the chairperson may change, but the board may remain, which will be replaced by Ajay Kumar sir, who is the new chairman of UPSC. He might be of the same cadre or same caliber of Preeti Sudan ma'am. Okay, so we'll discuss. First, we'll discuss the profile of Preeti Sudan ma'am, and then discuss the type of questions, trends, and etc. So, Preeti Sudan ma'am is an IAS officer from Andhra Pradesh cadre of the 1983 batch. Senior civil servant with nearly 37 years of experience of administrative experience, and she joined the UPSC as a member on 29th November 2022, and she assumed the chairman post of UPSC on August 1st 2024. This is Preeti Sudan ma'am. She is an administrator of utmost respect and utmost credibility. So her leadership role in governance of India, she mainly dealt with health secretary between 2017 to 2020. She led India's health administration during the critical early phase of the COVID-19 pandemic, played a very central role in coordinating national response, strengthening surveillance, and initiating emergency systems. Next, with respect to secretary, she is also secretary and Department of Food and Public Distribution. She oversaw major reforms in food security, public distribution systems, and welfare delivery. Okay. Next, and she also has a key ministerial experience, served in several major ministries like Women and Child Development, Defense, Health, and Family Welfare. When you see the questions from her transcripts, you will understand why this is very important, because most of her questions revolve around these 3 aspects. Okay, state level roles, she handled multiple critical portfolio like finance and planning, disaster management, tourism, and agriculture. And academic background is she has MPhil in economics, MSc in social policy and planning, London School of Economics. And major national contributions is contributed significantly to India's major flagship programs such as Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao. She helped conceptualize and initiate the program, very important. So all the initiatives we study as part of our UPSC preparation, as part of Indian welfare schemes, she was the heart and soul of the particular welfare schemes. And she was also part of Ayushman Bharat. She played a key role in shaping India's largest health insurance and primary health programs. So most of her questions used to revolve around health. Next, in health sector reforms, she was also part of legislations on National Medical Commission, Allied Health Professional Commission, and ban on e-cigarettes. Next, at the international level, global health leadership. She has held prestigious roles globally, and she was a chair of corporate framework on the Convention of Tobacco Control, not only in India but also at the international level. She was the chairman of Conference of Parties 8 to the framework of Convention on Tobacco Control. She was the vice chair, Partnership of Maternal and National Child Health. She was also chair of Global Digital Health Partnership. She was a member of WHO International Panel for Pandemic Preparedness and Response. She was a consultant in the World Bank. Okay, see, her credentials are something we read of her major personalities. So she had utmost respect, and even her way of questioning was also very unique. So discuss. So what kind of questions did, so no longer it is does, because she is not going to be part of UPSC board anymore. So what kind of questions did Preeti Sudan ma'am ask, or her board asked? So majorly the questions were the core personality of the board, where she was very empathetic, calm, and encouraging. I have experienced it firsthand because my board was Preeti Sudan ma'am. I was the first person to go in 10 o'clock, and my interview was around 30 minutes, and throughout the 30 minutes, ma'am had a smile on her face, and she was always encouraging me. Okay. and the questions were highly draft driven, again from the personal experience, especially the questions were on hobbies, social sector and NGO work. For me the questions were from the chairman itself. The questions were around Tech Mahindra and Bombardier, that is where I worked, Tech Mahindra and Bombardier aerospace companies. And she also asked me about football because that was my hobby, and there were some questions about my anthropology optional. The question was very unique. She asked me, like, do you know where this interview is happening? I said Dholpur House of Delhi. She asked me, what is the anthropological significance of Dholpur House? Okay, so now you have an idea. Go back and learn about Dholpur House as well. So that was her question, and after that I said I was not aware of the anthropological significance, and she said that it used to belong to a king who donated this to the government of India, and then it was converted into UPSC house. Okay, UPSC was a Dholpur house. And she also asked me about mechanical engineering. She said what are the recent improvements or innovations in mechanical engineering and all those things. Very basic questions but very cordial. Next, strong tilt towards health, women, welfare, social justice and administration. And questions were very balanced, neither grilling and nor philosophical, and has a heavy emphasis on practical governance, women issues, social protection, public distribution, ethics, mental health, law and policy, and economy and public finance. Okay, and she is not abstract like Verma sir, not security heavy like Shilvardhan Singh sir or Shukla sir board. This board is policy heavy, DAF heavy, plus social sector heavy. Okay, next, most dominant tips majorly was about DAF-based questions only. It was similar to Dasa sir board. Questions were around DAF only. This board reads the DAF thoroughly and pulls out very specific items. So as I told you in the previous videos, I had mentioned reading manga and anime. Reading manga and watching anime as my hobby, and the questions she asked me or the board asked me was, what is this manga? How is it different from cartoons? Okay, how is it different from cartoons, and why go for Japanese manga when their mangas are comics available in India itself? And then she framed questions about disaster management and relation with Japan. Okay, so the hobbies are our hobbies were questions were mainly around hobbies. If the question of hobbies around poetry recital, Ramacharita recital, Vipassana meditation, literature, photography, if present. So these are some of the questions or unique words she picks upon, and the questions will be around these. And the questions about homestead, for example, Allahabad, Meerut, Bareilly, Dhar, geography, culture, social relations, communal tensions, law and order, tourism. This is taken out from the 400 plus transcripts which I told you previously. So that is why it is picking up certain keywords. Next, education and optional, English literature, anthropology, chemistry, PSIR, startups and valuation, textile engineering. These were some of the questions which were previously asked. That is what. And based on the NGO, this is where she focuses mainly on mental health, women empowerment, teaching initiatives and social work. So one of my friend who is a doctor, she attended the interview last year and she got Preeti Sudan on board. She was very next to mine. So if I was the first to go and she was the second one to go on that particular day, and her interview revolved completely around mental health issues. Completely revolved around mental health issues. Okay, and women empowerment, teaching initiative, social work. If at all we have anything related to these particular topics, it used to be very important for you. Next, women, child, healthcare sector questions very high. So I expected, mainly because she was part of health secretary, she was part of women and child development ministry. She launched Beti Bachao Beti Padhao, Ayushman Bharat schemes. I already explained these things. Because of these things, she used to focus more on women, child and health social sector. So some of the recurring questions from her was, what do you mean by women empowerment? So very basic questions. We read so much about women empowerment. We read so much about empowerment. What is empowerment actually? What is the term this empowerment mean? So what are the different dimensions of empowerment which are encapsulated inside this women empowerment term? And what is the issue with raising mental health problems? Again, very significant, especially if you're a doctor. Next, is youth becoming weak? How to tackle women's issues at a district level? That is a situation-based question. You are a you are a district magistrate of a particular so and so district. How will you address the issues at the district level? These kind of questions. And the questions were also on ethics, integrity, and public administration. So high probability around 30%, very strong pattern. The questions were on corruption, behavioral ethics, administration ethics issues, judicial reforms, ethics inculcation, neutrality in civil services, administrative decision making, transparency in judiciary, welfare versus freebies. Very important. This was asked to me because I am from Karnataka and it was a time when there was a whole debate around what is the freebies, what is welfare schemes. What is freebies versus what is welfare schemes? Do you agree that Karnataka did the right move by providing so many freebies? What is your stand on these things? So if you are from Karnataka, since this news is since this particular topic is always in news, just have an idea what do you mean by freebies, what do you mean by welfare. So in a nutshell, welfare schemes are those schemes which are targeted to particular beneficiaries and there is a limit. Whereas in freebies, there is no targeted beneficiaries. It is open to everyone. It is open-ended. Whereas in welfare schemes, it is closed-ended. Key questions were like, how do you handle corruption in transport department? How do you inculcate ethics? What is neutrality in civil services? Is giving money to women welfare or freedom or freebie? Okay, very important. Next. Questions on economy, budget, agriculture, PDS. Be very careful about this particular word, budget. So it will be around the time you give interview, that is when the union government is going to present its budget. So the questions around budget will be very important for you. So very basic questions. Did you see the budget? Like which areas of budget were more focused and which sectors of the economy was given more primacy in today's budget, etc. These kind of questions, very basic ones. Repeated patterns were about PDS, that is public distribution system, corruption in ration shops, fiscal deficit, revenue deficit, happiness index, bank merger, PPP in banking, standard deduction, organic farming, textile and technology, startup ecosystem, etc. Okay, so everything. So this board often asks, explain basics clearly. Is this practical? So one of the question to ask to me by the board member, not the chairman, board member was that in most of the government schools, what happens is the teacher comes to the school, but he just puts attendance and goes back. So how do you tackle this? Tell me from the technological perspective, since you are an engineer, since you are a mechanical engineer, and since you have experience in working with major corporate companies, how do the corporate companies tackle with this absentee teaching? Okay, in corporate companies, you cannot just put attendance and escape. So how do you use those technologies in tackling with educational issues in government schools? Okay, next. And okay, so these kind of things, very practical, and you have to give very practical answers as well. And if at all your option is PSI, security, geopolitics, very less questions, but even though she is not an IR specialist, the board still asks India-China relations, border tensions, NATO, Russia, Ukraine, that is international relations which are in current affairs as well. So IR plus current affairs is the major theme here. China's growth model, Pakistan, POK issue, China isolation, space militarization, etc. etc. Okay. So these are usually one member's domain and not the chairperson, obviously. So there will be 5 members in a particular board. So one of the member from the particular board is going to ask these kind of questions. In law and justice, again medium, focus will be on juvenile justice, live-in relationships. This was in news previously because of Uttarakhand law registering the live-in relationships. And gender neutrality, rape laws, constitutional articles, judicial reforms, tribal rights, child rights, new courts, that is IPS versus BNS. This was a trend during last year, but this year also certain kind of questions can be asked. Next, personality based questions. So medium, that is very friendly board in terms of personality assessment. One of a few of the repeated patterns in this particular board was, why did you leave your job? The very exact question, the first question in this year's interview for me was this was. So if you are working in already a very good corporate company which is well paying, why did you leave the particular job? Why do you want to serve or get into UPSC? Why do you want to get into administration, or why do you want to get into services? That was the question. And what motivates you? How do friends describe you? What values Scouts and Guides taught you? Maybe in his hobbies or in his achievements, he might have written about Scouts and Guides. So the question: why civil services? What mistakes have you made recently? Are you strong emotionally? Do you crack under pressure? Okay, so very basic questions, and again the personality questions are also derived from the DAF. Okay, next, administrative situational questions. Major trend is this board likes to give district level situations, especially regarding PDS, corruption, women's safety, judicial pendency, tribal exploitation, educational reforms, and school system improvement. For me, like if you are a not disaster management, if you are a district manager, magistrate of a particular district, how will you address communal riots? That was one of the question asked by the member, not the chairman, member of the board. Few of the examples from the transcript is 20% PDS shops are missing. What will you do? How to protect tribals without isolating them? So these are some of the trends from Preeti Sudan ma'am board. But you don't have to worry too much because ma'am is not going to be a board member or panel member anymore. So probability map is so high DAF-based and the lowest is science and technology. Okay, so these are some of the important things. So what is the distinct feature of this board was that a DAF reading is exceptional. She asks about poetry recitals, Ramacharita Manashlokas, if at all it is there in your DAF, chemistry concepts, etc. She is very health women, social sector oriented. Questions on women's safety, mental health, public distribution, health policy, welfare schemes are always there. And extremely calm and cordial when the answers are weak. Very important. This is not the case with many of the boards. Board tries to test your composure under pressure, but here she avoids stress testing and very zero aggressively grilling. Follow-ups are very limited. Only when the answers are incomplete, she brings certain follow-up questions. Next, practicality of the solutions matter more than the theory. She wants realistic, non-bookish, district level, empathetic answers. Okay, very practical. Next, what this board actually tests. So this board tests your empathy, social sensitivity, ground reality understanding, administrative practicality, clarity, simplicity, honesty, constitutional morality, balanced opinions, women, child, vulnerable group sensitivity, health and welfare governance awareness, and it is not trying to test your philosophy, high-end analytical puzzles, abstract reasoning, etc. Okay, so situational or hypothetical questions are 30%. So this is one of the strongest pattern of this particular board. Board loves to test your leadership, courage, judgment, ethics, and crisis skills. So if there is a mob of 500 people with weapons and you have only 20%, what will you do? So this was the question which was asked in this particular board. Okay, and the questions on opinion based as well. Should ASPA continue, etc., etc. Sorry, I think this particular pages have been taken out of context. It is from Shirvardhan Singh's boards. So this is where Preeti Sudan ma'am board ends. Okay, so this is what Preeti Sudan ma'am board actually asks. Okay, so very cordial, very calm, and very free board. But unfortunately, she has retired from the UPSC. She won't be your board member or panel member anymore. So that is about Preeti Sudan ma'am. Just for your out of curiosity, if you want to know about all kind of questions that can arise in the interview. So this is again an interview guidance program from the La Excellence. So promotion from our side, led by Rambabu sir, Mohan sir, and myself. So as part of this interview guidance program, we are arranging trek to all the interview students to Kaiwara Hills, where we will be trekking and also preparing. So because the preparation or the interview phase is one where you have to live your preparation. You don't have to read, you don't have to mug up, you have to live your experiences, you have to experience it. So that experience is brought in your interviews. Okay, that brings out the genuinity. So and also after the trek there will be hackathon programs which will be held in Hyderabad. So all the students like approximately 200 plus interview appearing students will be attending this hackathon program, where they will get together in a resort of sorts, where you will be able to interact with each other and also interact with IAS, IPS or secretary level personalities, and also industrialist, sports personalities, etc., etc. So it will be a very fruitful event and very fun event as well. It will take your mind off this interview preparation. It will help you regain some composure, and it will help you regain that or refresh your mind itself. Okay, so this is about La Excellence IAS's interview guidance program. So this is today's video, very basic video, and tomorrow we'll discuss about 2 more boards and we'll end this series, and after that we'll bring this one question, one model answer kind of thing, and also editorial digest. Okay, so if you want more videos on these particular things, appreciate it by hitting the like button, comment on it, and also share with your friends who are preparing for the interview. Okay, with this I will end the video. Jai Hind.